Hello and welcome to the Tarkis Zone. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about early access for Satisfactory. It's a game. It's a building design type game. We'll get into it. I'm going to show you some gameplay of it. I wanted to talk about some of the things I have found with the game and basically give you my impressions, my review of it. So right now, as you can see on the screen, I've got the early access information. It's you just agree to it so that you can play. Now, the game right now, you have to pay for it. It launched on March 19th, the early access, and I think it's $30 or $29.99 for it, so it's not that much money. Well, right now is now the 25th of March, and I've already done everything you can with the game. I mean, right now I've capped it. There's nothing more I can do with the game, and we're going to go in there. And I'm just going to go continue. Now, my previous video that I made, you couldn't, when you make a new game, you fall from the sky, you couldn't skip over that intro. You can now skip over that intro, just hit the escape button, and then you'll see in the options, skip intro, and then you skip it, then you're on the planet, you're ready to go. So I've made, I think, this is my fourth game. The other three games that I played, well, the first game I played was the alpha testing, and that's what I did my previous video on, was the alpha testing. So then I played two more games, early access, and I did a game for each one of the three maps. And I did the, you'll notice that when you make a new game, that it gives you option of this planet, or this planet. Now, this is the third planet that I did, and here we go with my design. Now, what you'll see here is this is my. You get a little bit of stutter stepping in early access. You'll notice it occasionally. I'm not really sure why. Maybe because I've got a lot of things going on with the game. But what I want to tell you though is when you get onto the planet, I'm going to go down in this direction here. When you get onto the planet, this is what you'll be running around. See that little pausing that you get every once in a while, and I think it's because, again, this is early access, and what I've done is I've really got everything going. I've got everything that you could possibly have in the game, and I've got factories or it's just a Q command here. So I've got constructors, assemblies going. I got foundries going, and we'll look. I got the oil refinery going. So I got a lot of stuff going on in the game, and that's why every once in a while you'll get the stutter step. So when you get into the game, this is what you've got is you put your hub down, and then you start working with the land. What I did is I did not want to deal with the land itself. I didn't want to have to deal with the geography. So what I ended up doing is as soon as you can get into the tier that allows you to make concrete, then you can just make these concrete blocks. And if I hit the Q command and go to foundations, that's right, this foundation right here, you just put the foundation down wherever you want to put it. And from here, you can just build up. And what I ended up doing was building my main base over a canyon. So I just made it flat. And what I did is I started and I went in that direction, in the direction I'm facing. This was all machinery. And once I was able to get the last power source, I deleted it all. Or that's why these boxes are here. This is like stuff that I couldn't fit in my inventory when I remove something. Let me just show you what I mean by that. Hit the F command, so you can delete anything you want with the F command. So let's I'll go over here and just delete one of these blocks here. So when I delete the block, the item goes into my inventory. I get the concrete back. Well, I ended up just deleting all these factories and whatnot. And you ask yourself why? Because it was kind of dirty, and I didn't like the way it looked. So I also wanted to put it all into a factory. So when you get to the last energy source, right now you can get, let me just show you what I mean by that. If you go to power, you get your biomass burners. Those are your early power sources. You got to put fuel in them. Then you get coal, and I had my coal operation in this direction. I had 6 coal power plants in this area, 6 of them. They were all lined up, and the coal came out of this here. Now I've played so that I just find the nodes that I need. Like this goes to I just make the, this goes down to a coal node. And again, that stutter stepping you're seeing, I think I just started seeing it recently as I started to really get everything down. And when I started building the factory, I got more of the stutter step. So you'll see that this coal, I just basically just sent a power line all the way to the node. And then I did this with all my rare resources. So there it is. It's a mark. It's a 2. It's, if you go to production, it's a miner MK2. That's what I've got down there. And what I did is I just ran that power cord to, at that time, I ran this power line all the way up to the coal furnaces that I had at the top of this route here. And I didn't go with the fast, I got to upgrade these, these conveyor belts. Right now, this is the bare minimum conveyor belt. And I left it at the bare minimum because I really don't need coal all that much anymore. When I was feeding that coal into those furnaces, I needed the coal. But now that I only use the coal to help me make steel bars, then I don't really need much of it. So upgrading those was not, upgrading that conveyor belt was not priority. As you can see, all these conveyor belts are upgraded to the top. See how fast they are? You can't even run. You can't even run against it. They're so fast. And what I did here was I've got 2 MK2 iron miners that are here. They go into this network, and then these the iron goes into these smelters, and then those smelters send the bricks or the ingots up to the factory. So let's look at the factory itself. Once you figure out what you need for main material, then that's what you want to basically collect. You can get really fancy with the materials that you collect. And here, this entire factory feeds into these storage boxes, and those storage boxes feed into these overflow boxes that are over here. So what I've got here is these are my main storage boxes, and as you can see, if you look down here, what they're making or what's coming out of those boxes and how they go over to this section. Now, I want to point out, this is your hub. I've moved this hub like 5 times in this game. You can delete the hub, it goes in your inventory, and then you can place it down anywhere you want. So I've moved it a few times. I just happen to put it in the factory right now. I don't really need to come down here all that much. I do got some things that I have to upgrade still, but I got the priorities. Like I'm doing the jetpack right now. I mean, that is a okay item, but I don't really call it a jetpack per se. It's basically allows you to jump better because the fuel burns out of it so quickly. I wish I had it for this character for this game so I could show you how it works. But you have fuel in your inventory, and it just kind of just keeps you aloft for a few more seconds before you crash to the ground. So it's tier 6. I'm capped. The early access is capped at tier 6. That's why you didn't see a space elevator, because I deleted it. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. I just think it's an eyesore. So I just removed it from the map because I don't need it. I mean, I only need the space elevator to get up to the next tiers, and I'll place it back down before, if the game releases an update that allows me to get into higher tiers, I'll put the space, and when I say space elevator, I think, yeah, that's what it's called, the space elevator. I think the thing's huge. I mean, I don't think I could get it into this area here. No, the thing's huge. So once I got all the maximum tier, I got rid of it. I didn't want to look at it anymore. But you do need to put your hub down so that you can continue doing the trees. Like tier 4, I got that capped. Got tier 5, like tier 3. I haven't even done this. I don't need to, because the higher tiers allow me better access to the better conveyor belts. And I mean, I'm just trying to find out what tier. Here it is, right here, tier 4. These conveyor belts are the best ones in the game. So why spend money to upgrade these? Granted, it gives you the ability to have your conveyor poles, a different kind of conveyor pole. What I found is I don't like using conveyor poles. I like using the walls and sticking the. Let me go to the Q command and tell you what I mean. The walls. These walls hold conveyor belts. They got slots for them. As you can see, the one I got highlighted here, that's this one up here. What's great about it is you can send every single one of these conveyor belts on all of these boxes to that one slot, and from there you can then send them to various, so it cleans it up nicely. So it brings them all the way up there, and I bring them across to the boxes. Now the reason why I put these boxes here is because I'm going to be expanding into these these here. These are assemblers. I'll put a few more assemblers here and pull out of these overflow boxes the materials I need. Right now, these two assemblers, one's making this this part here, and then this one is making the rotors, I believe. So if you'll also notice, I don't have the top tier. I don't have the top tier belts here because I want them to go slow. Because the production in the front of the factory is speedy and it starts filling the boxes. Because the belts are so slow, there's a delay in the process at this end, and allows for me to pack rat more into the boxes for future use. So it's not important that these parts come across these conveyor belts fast. So once I look into here, you'll see how many I've got. And then if I go back to this, you'll see how many of these I've got. So these are the things I'm assembling with the raw components that I have coming out of these boxes. Now let's look at the boxes themselves, what I've got in here. So this one I've got iron plates. This one obviously this one doesn't have an overflow. It's empty. So right now I'm using more wire for this assembly than what I'm able to pack rat to get back, into there. I got screws coming out of here. See, like I was saying, these belts are going so slow, so it's allowing for some to get collected in there. This is concrete. This is this one's full steel pipes, and I'm using them for this process here. And then I've got the rods. Then I've got the steel rods. And again, these are iron rods. So these are just the basic components, what you need to build everything in the game. And right now, I didn't make that many assemblers because right now I'm just collecting goods because I'm waiting for the next update to happen. I mean, it did launch on the 13th, but right now I'm making everything you could possibly make in the game, or at least the raw component of it. Now this one here is this box here is steel. The steel beams is coming out of this box. Oop, coming down, and that's coming out of the front end factory here. Now the front end factory is all your basic, because the smelters are down below. So these assemblers are assembling what I need to go up into these crates here on this side, and then into the overflow. Now these three down here, I'm going to show you these three down here. These are my oil production boxes. So this is rubber. This is fuel. I cut the line for this because I didn't need to really pack rat that much fuel. I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. And this one here is plastic, and this is just an overflow for plastic. Let's go down there. Let me go down my bottom of my factory here. I cut this wall out so I can just jump down. All right. So in this direction is where the oil production and my power is made, because right now the power furnaces that I use require oil. So I created here a way for fuel to go into these power. These units here are making power. Let me just hit the Q command, go to power. This is your fuel generator. I think they 150 megawatts. So the biggest ones in the game, and I got 3 of them. And I've got the fuel being made by this oil refinery. And now the oil refinery, let me just go to Q so I can show you what I mean by oil refinery. That's down here, oil refinery. Once you put one down, you can decide what you want it to make. So I've got 3 oil refineries. One makes fuel, one makes plastic, and one makes rubber. And they all get fed by this line here that goes down to the oil node. Now if you follow this path, it brings you way in this direction, and I've got 2 oil drills. What do they call them? They're oil pumps. I got 2 oil pumps down there bringing this oil up to these refineries, these 3 refineries. And then this refinery here makes the fuel I need to run my power. And that's really it. I mean, I got plenty of fuel to run those. Now, what I was saying here, this line here is my fuel line that goes up to that crate, the one that's above me. I just cut it off here because right now I don't really need to send fuel up there because I did not research the... but if I hit the 3 command, actually, I'm going to put the expensive ones in. By hitting the Q command and going to logistics and then going through conveyor belt MK4, I actually don't have enough material on me because I just dumped it. I could just extend this and I could send fuel back up to that box that we looked at. But I don't need much fuel because once I get the jetpack, it doesn't burn that much fuel. So I don't need to pack rat fuel up into the factory because right now I don't use it for much. Other than the fuel goes into the power plants there to provide power. Now, another thing that you want to know is anytime you come up to one of these power poles, you can see the power consumption versus what you're using. This line here is your max. And what it's showing me is I'm running right in the center. Now, if I added more factories or more assemblers, this line would be up here closer to the max because I'd be using more power. Right now, I'm using the power that I want to use. And I'm pretty much able to power the entire facility without any hiccups. And I can minimize this game and put it down in the tray, and I can go play World of Warships. I can go play Hearthstone. I actually can play any game I want with this minimized in the tray, so it doesn't require that much processes. And all this stuff, it will be just filling these boxes up for me. I did want to show you that, well, I'll go this way, that you can build a factory to make it, to streamline like I have done here. And you can just continue to go, continue just to go up. So what I'm going to be doing is when the game releases new updates and allows new resources, I'm going to have this here, up here, where I can continue building up here, put walls obviously up, and then pull materials from these boxes down there. I will pull them to this outer wall, bring them, loop them around, and bring them up to this tier, and I'll be able to do whatever I want up here. So it really will work out for me. I found that this plan, this factory plan works out well for me, and you can drop down right into here and come out here. I did want to show you, just because I've been bored off my keister, I've capped everything. I've capped everything I want to do in this with this update, this early access. I've done everything you could possibly do, and I'm just waiting for an update, which I don't believe they're doing until mid-April. So what I ended up doing was just making this diving board. It'll be better when I get the jump pack. It's going to be real cool because I'll be able to delay the fall. But you know, you just, ooh, here we go, bam, woohoo, aha, ooh, here we go, boom. You know, I just did that because I was, you know, I'm just bored. I mean, it's like, what else can I be doing? I guess I could be running around finding glow bugs. I haven't found that many with this planet. The glow bugs allow you to overclock your, it allows you to overclock your productivity. And I will show you how to do that in a second. I don't think I found a glow bug yet on this map. The first planet and the second planet, there were quite a few glow bugs. And what you do is you find the glow bug and then you research it. And I'm going to go up real quickly to, whoop, I guess I didn't account for, let me just put this here. I must have just dropped down from that rock, not realizing that I didn't really have a good way to get back up. There we go. So it's a lot like Fortnite, just building stuff. Now, again, you just build these ramps. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why am I not using the ramps? The concrete is so cheap that, and it only costs concrete to make these foundations. So it's like easy to make. Once you can start making concrete, you can go anywhere on the world you want. All right, the glow bugs. If I had researched it, and again, I haven't found it, you'd go into here, and down here in this gray where my mouse is, you will have an option to overclock this production. And I think you can overclock it up to 250%. But what you need to do is you need to research the glow bug. It's a bug that you find that glows in the wilderness. And then you bring it up to your hub, and you stick it in your hub for research. Let me just go up there so I can show you what I'm talking about. I mean, overall, it's an okay game. I'm just saddened that I've pretty much have capped it, and I don't really have much more I can do. So you go into here and you put the item that you found, the glow bug, into this thing, and you research it. So I haven't found one yet. That's why it's not even in the list. Once you research it, allows you to make an item on the crafting bench that allows you make an item that it's like a power cell. And then you put that power cell into any one of the devices you've got that make something, and you can overclock it. Yeah, I mean, this is it. I mean, and right now, like I said, I'm getting some stutter stepping and some delays, and I've noticed that freezing and that delaying, the more and more I add to this map. So I'm hoping that gets resolved. What else can I point out that is helpful in the beginning? Well, I would also point out that when you're doing the biomass generators, try to keep them together until you get the coal, and then you can delete them. But put them in one spot so you're not running all over the place to put fuel in them. Plus, when you get nodes that are far away, like my oil node and my coal node, don't have a biomass filter down there. Just run a cable all the way up to where your power source is. This way you don't have to run all the way down the map to fill it with fuel. But once you get in the coal and you get the coal coming in, then you keep your coal plants in one spot, and you can just manage it from there. And then, as you can see, once you get up to the fuel generators, you're good. Now, these crafting benches, they're cheap. You'll find that I've got them all around my factory. I've got them on different floors of my factory. I got one up there. I got one at the very top. They're easy. They're cheap. You just go to special. You go to, no, it's under production, sorry. Go to crafting bench, and you just put one down. So you can just put them anywhere you want. Like I could put one right here if I want. So now I can just craft. And I found that with the base materials that I'm collecting, I can pretty much make anything in the game. Anything I want by just going into this crafting bench and doing it. And you do it a lot quicker than your production. You do it a lot quicker than the constructors or the assemblers. Like, for example, cable. I can just hit this button for a minute, and I can make as much cable as I want. And it'll probably be more cable than I'll need for hours and hours of gameplay. So there's no reason to make an assembler to make cables, because you can just easily make them so quickly. And that's why you don't see that many assemblers that I've got. I've kind of found that if you've got the bare minimum, just take 3 minutes, go to a crafting station and make all the ones you need. Now I ended up putting this crate here to put my overload. So I use this as storage. So I hit store all, and this way I can craft here, and I can just pull out of here odds and ends that I need for crafting. And that's why this storage container is here. So my thoughts in my my review of the game. It's fun. It's really neat to be able to do whatever you want to do on the planet, but it lacks a lot of things that it needs. The first thing it kind of needs is a purpose. You know, why aren't you interacting with some AI in space, getting like galactic credits or some sort of, you know, feeling that you're accomplishing something? That would be nice. You know, so some AI or just some game storyline would be nice. As for, you know, capping the game out in a few days, that's a problem. You gotta have to have a game that lasts more than the reality, 14 hours. If you want 14 hours of straight gameplay, you can cap this game right now. I mean, it doesn't take long to build everything you need. And again, it's early access. I'd given this game a 6 out of 10. I'd given the game a 6 out of 10 in my last review. I would say that it's fallen to about a 5. It's an average game. It's neat. It's kind of fun to play until you've capped it and you realize that you're on a planet by yourself, kind of just really sad, looking at things going into storage crates. I mean, it's really, I guess if my friends were playing it with me, it would be different. But the thing about it is if you had friends playing with you, then you'd cap the game in 8 hours because you'd have those guys collecting things that you would normally be collecting. Because when the game starts, there is a lot of micromanagement. There's a lot of things you've got to micromanage. But once you get it all worked out like I've got, there's no micromanagement at all. It's just, I can just sit here. I can just minimize the game into my computer tray and go do anything else I want to do. And that's okay. And right now, I'm collecting so much resources that when the game does have an update, I'll just have those resources be able to do whatever I want. So it's a 5 out of 10 right now. They really need to add a storyline to it or a purpose or, you know, or be able to make something more complicated than the trucks. I mean, you can make vehicles in this game, but I found no purpose in it. I found no purpose in wanting to make one of these things, because I can go anywhere I want by just putting foundations down. And I can just run there, and I never need to go back to that locations if I set it up. I don't need to go back to the oil node. I don't need to go back to the coal node. I got it all set up. Now, if I want to, go around the planet and try to find things like the glow bug that I was talking about, I wouldn't take this truck with me. I'd put the jetpack on and jump around because it's more free movement. I found when you're riding around these planets with a truck, you get like 10 feet and then you get a cavern that you've got to go down, or there's a tree in the way, or there's a big rock in the way. It was just more of a pain in the butt to drive the truck around than just flying around with a jetpack and picking up what you need. So the vehicles in this game make no sense to me. I mean, they don't. And I've used them. In my last game, I made a racetrack. That's what I did with the truck. I made this racetrack. I ran around the racetrack with the truck, and that got boring quick. All right, well, I apologize for my phone pinging while I was making this video. I got a friend that's looking for my attention. So I want to thank you for joining me. I do think this game's worth the $30 for the early access. I do think they got to add quite a few things, and I think that, you know, they have promised to do so. If you read their forums, they have promised, or if you go to the Discord channel they have promised to add some updates that will be gratifying, that you'll be able to micromanage some more stuff. But at the end of the day, you know, I like to see a full story. If you're colonizing a planet and you're doing all this work, then there should be some sort of point system that you can do, an online system. Maybe, you know, your friend is doing his own thing on his planet and you're doing your thing, and kind of like doing like a tier where you guys are. That would be neat. All right. Well, that's really it for me for this game. For right now, I'm just going to minimize it my tray, let it collect goods, and wait for the next update. Well, thank you for joining me. This has been a Tarkis Zone game review.